Alright, so now we're going to do three-tone cell shading. All that means is that we're going to make a new layer, set it to multiply, and just add one more level of shadows, okay? So I'm keeping it at the exact same color as I was using before. However, you might want to make sure if you ended up adjusting the layer beneath it using the adjustment sliders, you're going to want to make sure you reset that to normal so you can color pick whatever color it is that you're using and make sure that it's the same. So we could set that back to multiply now. And I'm going to select this layer to make sure we're not going outside the lines. Come back up here to our multiply layer, and we're going to add a second layer of shadows where it needs to get really dark. So for example, maybe some areas in his ear could get pushed a little bit darker. Some areas up here under his eyelid and his brow could go a little darker. Okay. Cheek is actually probably fine. I'm going to leave that part alone. Let's see, under his neck, perhaps a little bit, we could push darker. And you can see I'm just kind of mirroring the same areas that I did earlier. Okay. Let's see. Under here on his side, we could definitely go darker over here. And then his belly as well. There's a few parts of his muscles we can push a little bit darker. We'll go ahead and leave that one alone. That one looks good. Put a little bit darker there. A little darker. Nope, we want to leave that one alone too, I think. It looks fine without it. Let's see. Inside the little pouches, we could get it darker in there. Some of them. Okay. Let's come over here to this side in his armpit. Push it darker in there. Okay. On the bottom of his bracer, we can push a little darker. Bottom of that beaker there in between his fingers. We could really push it back there. Let's do the bottom of his leg, his right leg. I guess it's his left leg. It's on the right side of the page. We could push that darker. Go along his fingers here, his toes. Bottom of his other leg now, really pushing those deep, getting them nice and dark. Okay, his other foot here. Excellent. And let's see, anywhere else we could do some over here where his fist is meeting that ground. We're going to leave the rock alone because we want it to be pretty subtle there. We don't want that to draw too much attention. A little bit inside of his fist there, and the bottom of his knee and his leg. You want to get any darker there? No, let's leave that how it was. But now that you've done this, okay, we can go ahead and turn off our selection. And you can use opacity to kind of adjust how bright or how dark things are. So maybe, for example, this second layer is a little bit too purple. You can just lower the opacity so it's not quite so strong. Change the brightness to either darker or lighter depending on where we want to go with it. We're going to go just a little bit darker than what we had, but then we're also going to take the layer beneath it and lower the opacity so it's not so bright. Something right about there. Perfect. So that's it for two-tone cell shading. It's subtle, it's just an extra step of work to give it a little bit more dimension. But they're just two different types. Typically, if it's going to be animated, they go with two-tone just because it's easier to animate. You don't have to worry about as many moving shadow parts. But if it's just going to be an illustration like this, you can go a step further and do the three-tone cell shading. So that's it for this lecture. In the next one, we'll go over adding highlights.